All right, guys, welcome back to the Educated Homebuyer Live, where the goal is to help you buy right, borrow smart, and build wealth through real estate ownership and financing. For those of you who don't know, my name is Jeb. Josh isn't here tonight. Josh was here, but Josh isn't here now because we're still having audio problems for one reason or another, only in this platform. So he bailed out so that we can have a conversation, talk a little bit about the market, answer some questions, maybe have some fun. I don't know. I don't know how long this is going to last. Really depends on how many questions we have. Thanksgiving is tomorrow, so I know a lot of you guys are probably laying low with family, not really wanting to do real estate and that sort of thing, and I get it. So we can have some fun and chat about whatever you guys want to chat about. So past week didn't really see a lot of changes in the market, as you guys are probably aware if you're out there. Interest rates are kind of trading in that range that they've been in over the last couple of weeks, and not really a lot is likely to happen for the foreseeable future until we get CPI in December, and then obviously the Fed comes out the following day, at which point likely to raise the Fed funds rate, probably 50 basis points, just based on the probability readings out there with the Fed and all of that at the moment. So that's really what's happening in the real estate market. Reports with regards to existing home sales, pending home sales, all slowing down. It's that time of the year. We talk about it, seasonality, cyclical market, all of that good stuff. So it's slowing down, but what we're going to do is answer some questions. So we don't have any. So should I sell my house? Darlene, I don't know if you should sell your house. Where's your house located? Why are you selling? What's the goal with selling? Are you going to move something else? Are you going to buy something in the future? Are you going to rent? What are you going to do in the meantime? I think those are questions that you have to ask yourself rather than just, asking the question of whether or not you should sell your property. So let's see here. What's up, Matt? How are you, buddy? Thanks for joining. Throw that up on the screen there. Appreciate you being here. We didn't do the normal intro tonight with the music. We were just going to hop on live and have a conversation. But for whatever reason, again, Josh and I cannot communicate. It's crazy. We were able to film some stuff earlier in the week and no problems. And then all of a sudden tonight, same issue. All right. Where's the other old guy? I love that comment. The other old guy is sitting probably on his couch, scrolling his phone. He's probably eating. He likes to eat, that guy, that old guy. No, he was on the show, and I had to kick him off right before the start because we couldn't have a conversation just because the audio, for whatever reason, on our side wouldn't communicate. So having some issues there, but all is good. So Platinum Black, what am I having for Thanksgiving dinner? It's a really good question. So typically I would have turkey and, mashed potatoes and that sort of thing. But right now I have a sick kid who isn't feeling well. He is throwing up. He is in bed and not doing well. My wife's obviously at home taking care of him. And assuming he feels that way tomorrow, we're probably not going to be going to her parents and probably going to be staying home, which really brings the question of what we're going to have for Thanksgiving dinner. At that point, I don't know. Probably some fast food from somewhere because I'm not sure. We're in a position, unless we go early tomorrow morning, to get something to cook. So probably not going to happen. But hopefully he feels better. We're able to go and all is well. Let's see here. Autumn says, live in Connecticut within an area with little housing considered affordable. We put our house in today and already have 6 showings scheduled, hoping something pops up for us. But if not, we will stay with family. So good for you. 6 showings scheduled already. That's awesome. So congrats to you. Hopefully it all works out for you. Let's see. Autumn, we missed it last year due to your daughter being sick. Yeah, no, it's no good. He's been laying down all day, so hopefully he starts to feel better. My choice of drink on this right at the moment, it's water. I'm drinking water. So I played golf. I just came from the golf course, and just trying to stay hydrated here to have a conversation with you guys for a little bit. Does FHA allow a cosigner if the cosigner already has 10 Fannie Mae loans? So That's honestly a Josh question. I don't know the answer to that. So FHA would typically allow a cosigner because they allow cosigners on loans. So, but when you have so many loans with, say, Fannie Mae or what have you, typically what happens is, say, like a Fannie Mae might limit you from getting another Fannie Mae loan just because they don't want to have so much exposure with one particular client, one particular borrower, and therefore they won't do them. Now, with that being said, I know there's ways around this, so I don't know if FHA says, hey, listen, if you have 10, we won't allow a cosigner, so I don't actually have the answer for you. Back in the days when I actually did loans, I had a client that owned like 75 properties, and at the time that he was getting loans, he was limited per different institutions, different banks. It wasn't Fannie Mae, it was banks that were limiting him on the number of loans he could have with that particular bank. And my understanding is that's more of what it is versus Fannie Mae, but I could be wrong. So, but we'll ask Josh when he's back next week. Is there a standard or common percentage rate decrease you can get a seller to buy down in a purchase? Not sure if an investor loan makes a difference or not. So is there a common or standard rate decrease you can get a seller to buy down in a purchase? So I think like 1% of the purchase price typically buys you down about 0.25% in the interest rate. So, depending on how much you're trying to buy it down, you're going to request that many points in order to do it. Now, you might be limited in what a lender may allow with regards to seller concessions, or more likely the case, the seller is only going to give you so much to go towards credits, right? They're not going to typically, give you more than, if you're looking at, say, a $500,000 purchase price, they're not going to give you, 4 or 5% off the purchase price towards a credit. I mean, at least that's not typically what they would do. So I would say that you're probably going to be limited in a couple of points, which in turn is going to buy down, anywhere between 1/4 and 1/2 or 3/4 of a point, depending on how much you use towards that. So not sure if that answers your question directly, but hopefully that helps. If you have a rental home with more than $200,000 equity, would you recommend selling and doing a 1031 exchange for all commercial property apartment building? It depends. I mean, like, why are you changing from residential to commercial? I don't know. In doing a 1031, I don't think there's any issues going from residential to commercial, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I know it has to be a like type property. So when you go from residential, I don't know if it has to stay residential or if it has to be commercial on a 1031, but assuming you can do it, I would say, what's the reason for wanting to sell and do the 1031? Is one a better investment over the other? And if it is, and it makes sense financially, then sell and make the move. If it doesn't, Josh would say the numbers never lie. So look at the numbers on your rental property. How much does it bring in? And what's the commercial property going to bring in? And what's the potential of that commercial property? So not really a clear-cut answer, but those are the things I would think about if I were making that decision. Kim, I did not run those numbers prior to getting on the show. I will do it while we're here on the show, while I'm chatting here. I'll pull them up in a minute, but I don't have them right in front of me at the moment. So Joshua says, house hunting with my partner, unmarried. I own a home already and make $150,000. She's a first-time home buyer, makes $45,000. Can we qualify for down payment assistance because of her, or do I preclude us both? West Palm Beach or West Palm, Florida. So typically speaking, if you're going on with a first-time home buyer, if there's any sort of down payment assistance programs, if you're going on and you've owned a home within the last 3 years or currently own a home, you're going to more or less void that opportunity, I think, for any buyer looking for down payment assistance because you're on the loan. Now, if you weren't on the loan and she could qualify by herself, in which case she could be able to get that. But I think because you've owned a home, then the down payment assistance thing's not going to work. Platinum Black. How localized are real estate agents? Wife and I want to buy an OC, but could be anywhere from HB to Mission Viejo. Seems like a big area to be knowledgeable about. So I would say most agents in Orange County know Orange County decent. Not most. A handful know Orange County well. I'll give me, for example, right? So I'm in Huntington Beach. 70% of my business is done in Huntington Beach. Now, the other 30% is done all over the place, right? It might be in Mission Viejo, might be in Irvine, might be in Lake Forest, might be in, Costa Mesa, Fountain Valley, wherever, right? And the reason I'm all over the place is because my business is primarily relational, referral. So, people refer me to friends, family, and they might be looking at a different area. With that said, I've sold property in Huntington or in Orange County for, better part of 15 years, all over Orange County, doing, from foreclosures to everything else. And so when I was doing foreclosures, they just gave you property, in Orange County, some outside of Orange County. So you learn these different areas, these different markets and what have you. So with that being said, I know Orange County really well. Now, if you wanted to buy in San Diego, I'd be like, I can't help you there. I'd refer you to somebody else. But Orange County, you can find agents here locally that know all of the little sub-cities are, from say Huntington to Mission Viejo or what have you pretty well, just because most agents aren't just stuck in one city. They're traveling, they're showing property in different areas. And after you've been doing it for a long time, these other markets almost as well as the city you live in. So if you need an agent, reach out. Happy to help. Mikel Grant says cash flow. Let's see here. So you're do it for cash flow. So if the commercial property brings in better cash flow and you can 1031 it and you can find that commercial, sure, why not? As long as, the 1031 selling that property and rolling it over is not going to affect you in any way with regards to the capital gains laws, then sure. If it all comes down to cash flow, always. Let's see here. Question. It's official. This market will never cool off. House in my area sold for $100,000 more than comps in the area. So outdated. The realtor actually told me it had the original appliances from 1986. So where are you located, Orange Pulp? I'm interested in the market that you're in because most markets have cooled off, right? You're not seeing the crazy offers. In fact, a little story here. I actually wrote an offer on a property this past week for a client, cash offer, 2-week close, strong offer, and we were one of three offers on the property. Did I tell this story last week? I don't think so. And one of 3 offers on the property. Turns out we're basically the not the highest offer. We're off by a couple grand, but we're pretty close. But my client's willing to come up in price for the most part, and so I think we're probably going to be the strongest offer. Well, turns out client decides they don't want to sell the property for one reason or another. So they end up, after getting 3 offers on the property in a couple of days, decide they don't want to sell. Why do they decide they want to sell? I don't know. I have my theories as to why that might be the case, but that particular property had 3 offers. So some properties are still moving, some are taking a little bit longer. But yeah, it all depends on the market. But I'm interested in seeing when we get down there to your question where you're located. What housing data led you to name tonight's live show of the housing market is ice cold? No housing data at all. Just the thumbnail itself, right? No, the market isn't. Here locally in my market is not ice cold. Talking to some agents across the country in different markets have slowed down considerably. Like I was talking to a buddy in Austin a couple of days ago. He's like, inventory here is crazy. Like I forget the number of homes that have, how many more homes they have on the market. He's like, the housing market here is basically slowed down a lot. And so that's essentially where the thumbnail, the title comes from, right? It's got to be clickable. Patrick, can agencies or lenders offer to pay buyers mortgage payments for first months if they agree to buy property at asking price? Any insights on this unusual selling tactic in today's market? Can agencies or lenders offer to pay borrowers mortgage payments? I mean, a lender can't pay your mortgage payment unless they give you a credit, at which point you could use that money, you know, instead of using your money towards closing costs, which in turn means you're saving that money, and then you could pay your mortgage payment with the savings or the exchange there. But no, a lender's not going to allow, you know, a lender or a third party to come as part of the agreement to make your mortgage payment. In fact, a lender can't give you any sort of money outside of, you know, credits in the actual deal. Otherwise, it's a RESPA violation. So I think the easy answer to this is no. Does it happen? I mean, I guess it could, but I don't see anything like that taking place. So orange pulp is in the Philly burb. So orange pulp mentioned earlier, if you guys didn't see it, says house just sold for $100,000 more than the comps in the area, outdated, and ask where it was, Philly burbs. So looks like parts of Philly are still doing well. All right, guys, we got no questions. We got some comments. Litecoin is pamping. Litecoin to the moon. No coins to the moon. No coins. We're not talking coins. Sorry. Let's see here. Let's see. No questions, guys. What are we doing? So let me know where you guys are watching from tonight and what you're having for Thanksgiving dinner. Do you stay at home? Do you travel? Is anyone traveling right now? I'm interested to know, because it's the biggest travel holiday of the year is today or tomorrow. So interested to see if you guys are at home watching this, if you're on the road watching this. Probably not on the road, right? Nobody goes on vacation and watches this. Dallas. LA, La Habra, Dallas. Let's see here. Do I have any real estate data in Long Beach? I can pull data in Long Beach. I can't really do it while I'm on the show. Otherwise, I'm off doing something else while I'm trying to have that conversation. But yes, I can pull data on Long Beach. Long Beach is right here in my market. I'm actually just going to pull up the inventory real quick for here locally, because I do it every week, and coming on the show, I didn't do it. So I want to be able to give you guys that information, just because we've kind of been keeping track of it every week, see where we are on inventory. So I'm interested to see where we are as well. So here in Orange County today, so last week we had like 3,550 homes or something. Today we have 3,301. So we dropped by about that's 200 or so. So that's 7-ish, 8%, 6-7%, somewhere in that ballpark from last week. Inventory's down. And then here in Huntington Beach, 224. So that's about the same as it was last week, but Orange County inventory is down considerably week over week. So we got some people watching from Florida. Manuel is stuck in traffic on the 8. Must be in San Diego. Burbank, staying put. Houston, Palm Desert. Actually, that's where Josh is. He's actually in Rancho Mirage, but he's out there. Redwood City. Fed just said they will slow down that rate hike because of fearing the economy is hurting too much. So I didn't get to be able to read the Fed notes today. It's something I actually wanted to take a look at, but I was on the golf course, and so I didn't get an opportunity to look at that. But I am interested in hearing it, and I'm assuming that's what we're talking about here is the level in which they had planned to raise the Fed funds rate. They've made mention in the past that they were probably going to go higher than what their initial target was, and so today was going to tell whether or not that's still the case, or whether or not they were pulling back. Autumn, in general, if a house has been on the market more than 3 months, is there leverage for a potential buyer to offer less? If so, is there a general rule for how much? I would say absolutely. If it's been on the market 3 months, is there a rule? I don't think there's a rule. I would say look at what houses around that house are selling for, right? I mean, and where are they listed initially? How much under that price are they selling? That kind of gives you an idea. But at the end of the day, go with a number that you're comfortable with, right? I mean, nobody wants to overpay for a property. But at the same time, there's got to be some middle ground, right, between the seller and the buyer. So, just because you're comfortable paying considerably less, just for an example, doesn't mean the seller is willing to accept it. So you got to find a number that you're comfortable with and a number that the seller is willing to go with. But again, I've talked about it before. Try to figure out the motivation of the seller. If you can figure out the motivation of the seller, you can make, and sometimes you can make a better offer to tailor around what they're trying to accomplish, and that might allow you to offer less on that property than you otherwise could because you're giving them something they need, in addition to making an offer on the property. Sherry, my sister wants to buy a house, but it's still out of our price range. We are looking in Rosemead. What would you do? I lived in LA for 20 years. I would like a more slow pace area. So if it's out of your price range, there's not really a lot you can do. The recommendation is you've either got to save more money for the down payment. If your credit score isn't perfect, you work on your credit, maybe help get a lower interest rate, which will help you get a lower payment and in turn qualify for more home. Or the other option is you wait and try to save more money, or you wait and rent until you figure out if prices are going to come down at all. Now you can offer on the property, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen. So there's not really an easy answer there. If it's out of your price range, I'm assuming that means monthly payment wise, or qualifying, and those two things are very difficult to fix without having more money to fix the problem. So hopefully, I know that doesn't really give you the answer you probably want to hear, but that's the best I got. Let's see here. If I could live anywhere in Orange County, where and why? Orange County, anywhere in Orange County, where would I live and why? I would probably live in Corona Del Mar, just because I like the neighborhood. I like to be able to walk to different restaurants, different bars. I like the architecture of a lot of the houses. Close proximity to the beach still, close proximity to the freeway. That's probably where I'd live. I think so. Logical Thinker's throwing me a property here that 3630 Falcon Ridge. 3630 Falcon Ridge. Let's check it out and asking. This is going to be difficult to do on the phone. On the computer without actually getting some information. So is this, let's see here. I'm reading some remarks, make sure I'm not missing anything. All right, so it's a 0 lot line, so you actually have a shared wall with a neighbor. Home has 20-year solar panels attached that the buyer has to assume the contract. That's never a good thing. So is this an example of a home that's depreciated? What was the question? Is this an example of a home that price is decreasing 10 to 20%? I don't know. Was that house selling for considerably more than, it doesn't really look like it's, sorry guys, I'm actually going to look this up now. I'm going to do some research here real quick. See if I can find something similar that's sold. Let's see. Probably going to lose everybody here while I do this, but we're going to try to work it out. All right, here we go. Falcon Ridge. All right, so no, not at all. So that one is a 3.2. That is, what was that? 3615. Was that the one I was looking up? 3630. Okay. So 3630 Falcon Ridge, 825. Okay, so that's a 3-bedroom, 3 bath, 1,664 square feet. So there's currently one pending right now for 824. It was on the market for 18 days. You've got, let's see here, one that sold on Black Forest that was a 3-2, 1,567 square feet. So priced a little bit more, but I mean, it sold at 860. Then you've got one under contract at 840, or the listing price was 840. It's under contract. You got one that sold on Black Pine for 855. And these are all recent. I mean, these are not, the one on Black Pine closed October 14th. So you see one selling for 824. I mean, that's what, 20,000 less than that property, 30,000 less. And we don't know, where it's actually going to sell. So no, it's definitely not a 10 to 20% price difference. Not even close. Unless I'm missing something. But no, those were comps. I just pulled them up as we were watching that. Do foreclosures need to be purchased with cash? Some do. If you purchase them on the courthouse steps, they need to be cash. Or you need to have access to cash somehow, right? I mean, you could get a hard money loan. You could do whatever to be able to get the money. But yes, if you purchase it from the MLS where it's a foreclosure, and as long as it's livable, you can get financing on those properties. Question, what do you think happens with prices moving into this next spring? Seems like by then there's a chance the rate hikes stop and there's a chance inventory could spike seasonally. I think you're going to see more property on the market in the spring. Typically that's a time when people do sell property. So, I mean, regardless of what happens with seasonality, with interest rates or whatever, you're going to see some more property come to the market. Now, does that mean a huge increase? I don't know. I think a lot of it depends on what happens with interest rates. I think if interest rates pull back a little bit, you could see more people moving around, right? Some more migration, if you will. Those buyers that were maybe thinking about moving, still making that move. First-time home buyers, assuming they can qualify with lower rates, are going to probably buy. I think the people that there's still people that want to own homes, believe it or not, even with higher interest rates. So I think if interest rates go higher, that's going to lock more sellers in place, right? And keep them from selling property. You'll have some people that will need to sell for one reason or another, and higher interest rates would cause prices to continue to go down. But I think a leveling off in interest rates is what's more likely to happen, maybe a small pullback, in which case I think you see some pickup in demand, but I don't know that it's going to be a huge, difference in the market in general. I think you just see more sideways kind of movement, and I think you're going to see that for a while, just because I don't think there's anything that's going to send a lot of inventory to the market. And at the same time, I don't think there's anything that's going to send interest rates down considerably to help with buyer demand and affordability. So I think you just kind of chug along for a little bit. And with that, hopefully you get some wage growth. And with that, inflation comes down and, helps with people's buying power. And you kind of have a more normal market where you get year over year appreciation somewhere in 2, 3, 4% range. I don't know what it looks like over the next couple of years, though. I think, again, a lot of it's going to deal with interest rates. So we're gonna know here in the next 2-3 months, right? Any areas of OC that are historically a little dodgy but are now on the upswing? Where are the deals in the OC? I don't know where the deals are. I'm looking for them. But no, I'll give you an example. Like West Side Costa Mesa used to be not a dodgy area, but an area that wasn't really super desirable. This was 10 years ago. While East Side Costa Mesa, super desirable, a lot of restaurants, a lot of shops, you walk around, just a lot of revamping and what have you. Over the last 10 years, we've seen, the West Side be regentrified, if you will. New construction, more young families coming in, that sort of thing. And with that, you've seen that market start to go up and continue to rise. For a while, the deals were in West Side. Now, can you still do it? Sure. And I think over time, that's still going to be a very desirable area and it's going to continue to improve. but I don't know that there's any deals out there in the market at the moment. At least I'm not seeing them. Watching from New York. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Appreciate you watching. I need a realtor that is familiar with Rosemead. Message me. I have a laundry list of agents. In fact, just closed 2 different transactions this week of people that I referred out of state. One in New Mexico. I'm sorry. One in Arizona. And New Mexico was last month. One in Arizona and one in California. Northern California. So, yeah, so happy to refer you. Send me a message. In fact, if you need a referral, you can click on or go to that link there below, and it'll put you in touch with someone directly. Let's see. Kim is asking about OC. Would you say that lately in Orange County, no major deals are coming up? More or less, we just talked about that. Yeah, I'm not really seeing a lot of deals at the moment. No true opportunities where I'm like, that's a deal. Are single family homes with an ADU selling faster or normally as before property is vacant? So ADUs, properties that have ADUs, properties that have large lots where you could build an ADU and it wouldn't take up the entire lot, those properties are going to continue to sell well. They're going to sell fast, and they're likely going to sell close to the asking price when they're listed properly, maybe even above the asking price, because the whole ADU thing is a big thing. It adds on the opportunity to rent it out. It adds the opportunity to have a family member, somebody live there, Airbnbs, all these different opportunities, and a lot of investors and a lot of people buying single family homes want that opportunity. So those homes will continue to do very well. So Renee won the Powerball. Is that what we've determined here? Is that the congratulations? Should I pay off my rental property, which I own 3 of them, or should I buy more rental property as down payment for the money I saved? What is your advice? So my question would be, why would you pay off the rental property? If they're cash flowing now, you're happy with the cash flow, and you can buy another property and you have the money down and that property is going to make sense financially, it's going to cash flow, then I like the idea of using leverage and buying more real estate. Now, some people are the other side of it and rather have no mortgage at all and, be completely risk-free and, just bring in more cash flow on that property. It really depends on, your goals with what you're trying to accomplish. But again, we'll go say the numbers never lie. See what makes sense to you. But again, if it pencils out where you can buy an investment property, it cash flows, I just feel like long-term owning more real estate is going to ultimately help you build your net worth. Paying down that one real estate is going to bring in more cash flow every month. But that, adding that additional property, assuming appreciation, if we see the same thing we've seen historically, which is around 4.5% nationwide over 65 years, owning that additional piece of real estate is going to help grow that net worth. Is it legal for your real estate agent to ask you, the buyer, to have your attorney have the seller's attorney to release the money to the seller to help Okay, I'm completely confused here. Is it legal for your real estate agent to ask you, the buyer, to have your attorney have the seller's attorney release the money to the seller to help relocate to secure another property? I don't understand the question, and I'm just going to say no, because why would you release money to the seller ever until a deal is closed, and or unless it was part of your original agreement that you were going to release that money? Different contracts in different states work different ways, but here in the state of California, you put an earnest money deposit into escrow. That money is in escrow until you close on it, right? It's never released to the seller at any point unless you make that part of your original offer, which most people don't. I would say out of 100 offers, that might happen once. I've never had a client release money up front early in a transaction. So And I'm not sure why you would do it unless you've already agreed to it in the contract for whatever reason. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I didn't get the gist of it. Do you think that LA County, specifically Inglewood, has the most appreciation potential in the Southern California area with the SoFi Stadium? And I don't know if it has the most appreciation potential, but it's definitely got potential. I feel like, the real potential, honestly, was before they announced SoFi, right? Because those, once they announced it, it brought prices up considerably at that point. And so you've already seen them move. I don't know if you're going to see them continue to move more because of the new Clippers Arena too, but I would imagine people want to be in and around that area, so it's going to help property values. But I can't say it's the biggest or most, but I think that area will continue to do well because of the re-gentrification and all that stuff around it. So can sellers offer to pay buyer's mortgage payment for 6 months if the buyer agrees to pay full asking price for the property? No. You can ask for a credit to use that money for what you want to use it for, but making the buyer make the mortgage payment isn't going to fly. At the end of the day, the mortgage is in your name, right? So it's just going to be structured based on you're going to ask for money towards closing costs. So when you make a full price offer and you ask for 6 months of your mortgage payment, that's not a full price offer. Just so we're clear. So say your mortgage payment's $3,000 a month. Say it's we're just making up numbers here, but say it's a $500,000 purchase price. Your payment's $3,000 a month. You want 6 months of your $3,000 covered. That's $18,000. So essentially, that seller is giving you an offer, or that seller's netting $482 out of that deal, and not $500,000 because they're giving you a credit for the $18,000, which you can use towards your closing costs. You can use it to pay your mortgage. You can use it to do whatever you want. But I don't think you can write it into the contract that the buyer is going to pay your mortgage payment. I've never seen it. Last time I posted on live my house address. Am I not allowed to do that? I think you're allowed to do that. Why would you want to put your house address on here though? But sure, go for it. We'll find out. Put it up there and we'll see if it allows it. I think it would allow it. Was that an example of a tenant from comps earlier this year? Earlier this year, homes in the neighborhood selling for $900,000 to $1 million. So let's go back and look. So you also have to make sure that the homes you're looking at were also attached. Yeah, so there's a couple. Yeah, so there's a couple that sold close to $1 million back then. But I don't know the condition of those versus the one that you sent me. Hold on one second here. I'm going to pull it up. It looks fairly... Yeah. Hold on one, and I'm also going to pull up a map because the map matters. Yeah, potentially, right? It just depends, like, how comparable some of those properties were, but it looks like if some of these sold for, say, $1 million, right? You saw there one sold for $1 million in 7 days in April, and now but that property had a view, so that doesn't. I don't think that. And that's the thing, is some of these have views and some of them don't. So I don't know it's that, and obviously that's going to add to the value of the property. And honestly, it's a little difficult to do this on the phone, but I mean, it looks that properties are selling quite a bit below where they were then. But again, that view means a lot. And I know some of those homes have awesome views up there. So I'd have to click through each one of these things to do that, which at the end of the show, I'm willing to do. If we get through some of these questions, and we can take a look at it. So let's see here. Happy Thanksgiving, and chatmates, happy Thanksgiving to you. Platinum Black, grew up in Costa Mesa. That's what you were thinking about. See, we're on the same page. Let's see. Yeah, I see the same thing, Platinum. I see the same thing. Always buy the biggest lot and have lots of street parking, then add the ADU. Like two alley lots can access more access. Sure. I guess. I didn't understand that exactly, but yeah, buy the big lot. Here in La Habra, they've started to break ground for Olsen Homes, but I noticed lately it seems as though they have stopped with the project. Is that part of a slowdown too? I have no idea. A lot of these builders, I would assume if they haven't broke ground on these projects, even if they haven't started construction, they might halt it for a little bit, just if they have the ability to do so, because of where the market is. Now, builders that are already in, started building properties are going to finish them. But yeah, I mean, is that part of the, I can't say for sure, why they're not building them, but that could be a reason, just because of the market in general. Miguel, yes, I am here on Thanksgiving evening because I said I would be. A couple hours ago, I was thinking I was going to cancel this, but I do what I say I'm going to do, and therefore I am here. So let's see here. You may have discussed it before, but what is the most reliable when looking for available homes? I say the most reliable is getting a feed directly from a real estate agent, because it comes directly from the MLS. Everything, any other website is syndicated from different sites. Some sites, like we'll say Zillow, for example, Zillow doesn't get all of the properties, because Zillow, once they became a broker, they, you had to opt in to allow, because now they were a direct competitor to other brokerages, if you will. You had to opt in to allow Zillow to see your properties on their website. Most people did it because it's an exposure thing, right? The more people that see it is a good thing. Some people said, no, if Zillow is going to be a competitor of us, we don't want our properties on there. Therefore, they don't all show on there. But I would say Redfin has the prettiest site by far. In my opinion, the data it's all there. Zillow is good as well, but I would say that the best place to get information is from an agent directly, just because that's, it's coming directly from the MLS feed versus coming from the MLS feed, passing through another website like Zillow or Redfin or Realtor.com or one of those, and then going to you. So, but they all work. They all get the job done. Any experience with builders, Richmond American Homes? No, have no idea who that is, unfortunately. Let's see. No other question at the moment. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to share my screen. If Logical Thinker's still here. Logical Thinker, if you're still here, let me know. So we're going to share this screen here in a second. If the Logical Thinker's here, we're going to share the screen because we're going to look at the comps of the property sent over and get an idea. But anyway, we'll answer some more questions. Do I have any client buyers in big techs? Any effects from recessions and layoffs? I do have clients that are in big tech. I have a couple clients that work for Apple. Last I know, he still has his job. He's an engineer an engineer, I guess is his title. And he's still buying property. In fact, he bought 2 properties over the last year, and he's looking to buy more real estate. So, but I'm sure some people are affected. I mean, there's a lot of tech jobs here in California. I don't know anybody personally that's been affected at the moment. What helpful tip have I learned recently? I learned how to cut a pepper. I was watching a TikTok video. They showed me how to cut a pepper. I didn't even want to learn how to cut a pepper. It just came across my feed. It was like one of these things, you learned when you were 40 years old or whatever the title. And hey, it was intriguing. So I watched it. And now I know how to cut a pepper. Imagine that. We answered that question. Logical thinker's not even here, so we're not going to do that. Not going to do it. All right, guys, what are we doing here? We're 45 minutes in. I'm just talking to myself. Since there's no chatter, this is kind of like mind-numbing that I'm just sitting here talking to myself. Mind-numbing. Let's see. Still here. All right, so here's what we're going to do. So Logical Thinker earlier asked a question about some comps. And so I'm going to put my MLS up on the screen right here, right? So that's MLS of the properties in that little pocket here. So we're going to go back. We're just going to do, because we can. Because we can do this, we're going to do it. So here's where I started, right? So if I go to residential D, oh man, I didn't want to do that. I'm going to go back to these properties. So I'm assuming he, maybe a she, logical thinker, could be she. This is the property you asked about, right? Which is a 3-bedroom, 3-bath, 1,664 square foot property on a 4,800 square foot lot, right? All right. And so what we would do is we would go back into criteria, right? Because that's a 3-3. We want to look at, we're just going to run 3 bedrooms just to see where they are. So we're going to look at 3-bedroom properties. I've already mapped it out because just to get an idea, but let's see where this property, if there's a community on it. So it doesn't have a community or a subdivision. So I just mapped it out, right? So I took this little top part here, right? And assume, based on the way these communities are built in some of these places, that all of these are going to be similar style properties. I don't know that to be certain, but what I did is I went in here and put property attached. Yes, because we know that the property is attached based on the information that I read earlier, right? So now we're looking at these properties. So we've got, how many results do we have? We got 10 results. These are the 10. And I went back 360 days. So that is until this time last year. And the reason I did that is because I wanted to see if we're seeing a 20% decline on some of these properties. So first thing we would do is we would go back to these results and we would find the property that we were initially looking at on Falcon Ridge, this one, right? And we'd look at the photos. So we go through the photos and we say, okay, curb appeal is decent. Front of the property of this one, 2 different garage doors. I guess it doesn't really make a big deal, but it looks better when it's all the same. Looks like a little pool in the back on this property, if that's what I'm looking at. Balcony in the back. Upgraded. Pictures suck, by the way. So whoever, we're not going to list the agent, but their pictures are awful. But nevertheless, looks like it's been upgraded. Not super recent, but it's decent. Bathroom, could use some love, but looks to be, is that carpet on the floor? Or if that's okay, so like some sort of laminate flooring on it. So we have an idea of what that property looks like, but we know that it doesn't really have a view, right? It has the pool in the backyard instead of a view. So now let's go look at some other properties that have sold in that community just to get an idea here. So let's go. Are we still streaming? Are we still good? Yeah, we are. Okay. I got too many screens open, guys. Sorry. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at these properties. So let's look at the one that sold for $1 million. When did that sell? So the one that sold for, let's pull this out just a little bit. So the one that sold for $1 million is this one right here on Vista Glen. Sold in April 19th, right? It's a 3-2, 1,567 square feet. So it is a little bit smaller than the 1,664. It's 1,000 square foot bigger lot, right? So that's pretty substantial when you're talking 4,800. So it's about 20% larger on almost 20% than this one. So 4,800 looks to be the smallest lots up there, right? If you look at these. So the one that we were looking at is on a smaller lot, Falcon Ridge. Okay. We know that one sold on a similar solid lot, 1442 square feet, sold for 860 back in July. But let's look at the million one, because that's really where you see the big price difference. So now if we go look at this particular property, kitchen is older. In fact, the whole thing needs to be completely revamped in the inside compared to the other one. So this is a completely different style property, needs a full remodel on the inside. But this is what you're buying, right? You're buying the view, or that's what most people are buying, is that view. So you look at, so you got 1,000 square foot bigger lot, but you get to look at that, right? And so what is that worth to someone? Worth $100,000? Maybe, for the right person. So, but it looks, but the house needed a full remodel, but it started at $950, sold for $1 million in 7 days. It was a trust sale. And it was a VA buyer that bought that property. So that's one example, right? We know that is not the same property as the one on Falcon Ridge because of the view. But there's some pros and cons to each. But look at this. Let's look at this one. This one sold for $999, which is also considerably more. But this one closed in May. Now this one looks a lot nicer on the outside. Inside, it's been updated at some point, but not super recently. This one, nice pool. Definitely a bigger yard than the other one, which is probably, I would think, what is this? 8,100, 8,160. Excuse me. So that's like 3,500 square feet larger on the lot size. So that's probably why that property sold for quite a bit more, right? It's a much different property because of the lot size compared to that other one. So yes, looking at the two, the values have definitely gone down, but not nearly as much because of the factors there. But let's go back and so this one sold in April, that one sold in May. Is there anything else that sold at the beginning of the year that you can? Everything else sold after July, but so you could see as early as June. Hold on, June. Okay, so that one came on in June. The one that we're talking about now. Then you've got July, that one sold in July for $829. So yeah, property values have definitely gone down, but I don't think it's 20%. Not even close, just because of the differences in those properties. But what price did they start at? So this one started at $1 million, right? So why hasn't it sold? It started at $1 million. So you tell me, would you like that property at $1 million or one that has a 4,000 square foot larger lot for the same price, right? It looks like when they tried to price it in June or July, they tried to price it higher than the last close comp, and clearly that didn't work. So. But we could continue to do that and go back and forth, but we don't really have all the information there. So hopefully that's helpful, and that's how I would look at it. But I definitely think, obviously the values are lower. Do I see any first-time homebuyer opportunities soon? I guess my question is, what do you see as an opportunity? What's an opportunity to you as a first-time homebuyer? What's the price point? What are you looking for in a property? It's not just a black and white answer saying yes or no. I think there could be some opportunities, but it's going to be in different price points and different, types, styles and cities and all of that good stuff. So potentially, but I'd more question, what do you see as an opportunity? What does that mean when you ask that question? So why is my house not selling? Where is your address? What are we talking about here? Ruby. Is that your house? Was that your house, Ruby? That wouldn't be good, would it, if we talked about your house? But I can tell you, that one house could improve everything 1,000,000 times by changing the photos on it. Just the photos alone make the house look like crap. Makes it look dark. It might be dark, but if you don't get anybody there to look at it, nobody's going to buy it either. So you can start with changing the photos on it. What do Black Friday deals look like for houses? Making an offer and getting it accepted at a price that you're comfortable with would be a Black Friday deal if you can make it happen. So, that deal is going to be different for each person, if you will. But I don't know that anybody does maybe somebody does a discount for the day to see if they can sell it. I don't know. I've heard of people talking about it, but I've never actually seen it happen. Entry level 400,000 to 500,000. No, not for a single family home. I don't see that happening here in Orange County, unfortunately. I don't see homes like in Huntington Beach where I am now. There aren't single family homes at this point under, I would say 800, 850. For a while there was nothing under like $1 million. Now you can still get some stuff in the eights. You can find some houses in the eight. They need work, but anything under 8 doesn't really exist here locally. Now, the further east you go, closer to the desert, and I say that desert being, just using it for point of reference, but the further east you go away from the coast, the less expensive properties typically are. But even then, I don't know. I haven't seen a single family home sell anywhere close to 400 or 500 in a long time, and I don't think you're going to. Not in Orange County. Can I do a market analysis on Portland? I can't. I don't know Portland well enough to be able to do that. I have a buddy who says he's going to come on. We were supposed to do this months ago. I had to cancel on him, and ever since then, he hasn't been back on. But he knows the Portland market well, and I want to have him on because he's a smart dude and can have that conversation. All right. Let's see what we got. Comments. So, we got 45 likes, 113 people watching. It's Thanksgiving Eve. If you guys could do me a solid and hit that thumbs up, helps me accomplish my goal of educating. That's the reason I'm here, is try to educate more people through the buying process and just to help make you a more educated home buyer. So hitting that helps me accomplish my goal, helps the YouTube algorithm, helps all of that stuff. In fact, I didn't mention it at the beginning of the show, but Josh and I posted the second part of the credit episode today on the podcast. And the reason it was today is because his voice was bad. It was awful. He could barely talk. So we had to film it or record it yesterday, which was after our normal release date, just because of his voice. So we put it out today. It's good information. The audio on my side's not great because it was recording from the wrong mic. So this is great. We always have technical issues. But nevertheless, it's good information. It's put out there. So check it out on The Educated Home Buyer. This is where we actually talk about how to improve your credit score and what that actually looks like. So check it out if you're into the podcast and you like that sort of content. I got 2 agents knocking my door last week saying they got cash buyers want to buy in my neighborhood. So weird. So here's the thing. Do they? Maybe. Perhaps they don't. Agents use that tactic as a marketing, as a lead generator, if you will, to try to get listings. Now, they might have a buyer that's a cash buyer that's truly looking in that neighborhood, that wants to buy in that neighborhood. They also might have a cash buyer looking for opportunities. And if you're a seller willing to sell at the price that they want to buy it, then they are a buyer. Otherwise, they might not be a buyer. But what they're trying to do is just get more or less people to raise their hand to say, I'm willing to sell my house. At which point, whether their buyer is interested or not, they now know you're an interested seller, and they can use that to try to get your listing and or sell it, off market. So I see it 2 ways. It could be or it couldn't be. Depends on how you're looking at it. I appreciate the 16 people that went in there and hit the thumbs up. It brought us to 61 from 45. That's good stuff. It's good stuff. So, Not a lot of questions, guys. Not a lot of questions. Going to be an early night. At this rate, we're at 6:01. What do we say? What do we say? Knock it out? Are we doing more time? Or are we going to knock this out here at an hour? Yeah, platinum black. Yeah, as would I. I would buy another one for sure if you could have that, but it's not out there at the moment, unfortunately. Can you try and get the other old guy on? Unfortunately, the audio doesn't work. So I can have him on, but the problem is we can't talk. I can't hear what he's saying. Therefore, it makes it a really difficult show when you can't hear the other person talk. So he's not going to be on tonight. But you don't have to give me a thumbs up for that. All right, guys. It's that time. What are we doing? Beer selections for the holidays. Let's see here. I favor Goose IPA. Any suggestions? I'm not a big IPA guy. They just make me feel like hell, like super like bloated feeling. So I'm more of a, again, I think you guys know, 805 drinker. Lately, trying to do more wine, that sort of thing, just because, again, the beer, just drinking too much of it during the holidays just does not bode well with waking up and feeling well. So I'm trying to back off the strong stuff with the beer, but maybe sipping on some bourbon, cocktail here and there, that sort of thing. But wine is going to be my choice for the holidays, I think. Wine. Last night I had my client party. So every year I do a client party for current clients, for past clients, for people that refer me business. Each year the list continues to grow because more and more people are on that list, right? Because they're buying and selling properties with me. And even out-of-state clients that no longer live here still get the invite. And, we obviously know that many of them aren't going to come, but we invite them. So last night we had a really good turnout. And I give pies away, right? So I do a pie party. I call it a gratitude giving event where I give pies out to my clients. And so I give them a pie every year. They get a choice between apple and pumpkin pie. And the reason we do it the Tuesday before, so they can take it and use it on Thanksgiving and what have you. So every Tuesday, the Tuesday before Thanksgiving is the annual event. So this is the 8th year. Last night was the 8th year. And it starts at 4 and it goes till 7. And so we have, wine and beer and food, and we have it catered and all that stuff. And last night we didn't get out of there until 11:30 last night. So I have some clients come at 4 and they stay for 2 minutes. They pick up a pie and they leave. I have some clients that stay for 30 minutes and they'll sit and socialize, meet some new people and hang out for a little bit. And then I have some clients that get there and stay there for 5 hours, 6 hours. And so we drink, we talk, we have fun. The kids are running around and my wife gets to meet people and all of that good stuff. And so last night was a long night. There was a lot of wine consumed in that 6, 7, whatever, that 9-hour span, 7-hour, 8-hour span from 4 really. So 7-hour span. So yeah, I'm starting to feel better now at 6 o'clock at night. So if you want to be invited to my gratitude gathering, just become a client. That's it. That's all you have to do. It's that easy. It's that easy. Let's see here. But I try to do it. I do it every year. Kim says, if I wanted you to be my realtor, would you take a job outside of OC? I wouldn't be a good agent for you. If you were in Long Beach, sure, right? But it really depends on where you are, Kim. I mean, if you're local, I've sold property all over the place, but typically I wouldn't be your best source. But I can refer you to somebody that is equally as good as I am across the board that can help you. So if you need that, reach out. Let's see here. We're going to answer a couple more. Cali Creamin' by Mother Earth Brewery pairs perfectly with Jeb's pumpkin pie. So, Josh, Mother Earth Brewery? So, the Mother Earth Brewery is actually in Kinston, North Carolina. Do you know that, Josh? Did you look that up? Is that how you got that? Seriously? I'm being serious, but Josh is there. Look at that. Josh came to the party for a bit, and then he left and went to the desert. Where was I going? I was going with this one right here. How would I go about finding homes with sellers that have an FHA mortgage that I could assume? Is there a special type of realtor for that? No, there's not a special type of realtor for that. But what you need to do is, most agents these days, if their client has an FHA loan, they're putting it in the agent remarks so that other agents know. But if there's a property you like and you have an agent, you can have your agent reach out to the other agent just to see, hey, maybe they have an FHA loan. Sometimes it will show on title the type of loan that they might have. They might be able to pull it from title, or title might be able to pull that information for you and give you a list of properties. So, if there's a neighborhood that you want to buy in, if you're focused on a neighborhood, you can have your agent get title records from, their title person of everybody that has an FHA loan in that community, at which point, you could try to figure out if there's somebody in there that's willing to sell. But with that, you've got to be able to bring in that difference in what the seller owes versus what that home is selling for in order to assume that mortgage. Most people don't have that type of cash sitting around. So just make sure you understand how that works before you waste any time. All right. Currently, do you have a lot of investors or residential home buyers? So I don't have a lot of investors buying property. Typically, that's not my buyer. Most of my buyers are people looking for primary homes and or second homes. Occasionally I get investors looking for property, but majority of my people are looking to occupy homes personally. All right, guys, what we're going to do here is I'm going to ask one more favor. And then if you could hit that thumbs up, I would appreciate it. I am going to go be with my family. I'm going to go relieve my wife from taking care of the sick child. And I'm going to go out. So this Friday, I actually post a video. It's going to be talking about renting versus buying. So if you're out there renting, pay attention to this. I talk about some things that you can do to maybe get your landlord to potentially lower your monthly rent if you're interested in doing that, and when it makes sense, in this market at the moment to rent versus buy, some things to think about. So that video comes out on Friday. So check it out. Check out the podcast. Mentioned that earlier. We talked about credit, the second part of credit. Next week, we're going to be talking about mortgages and getting mortgages and all of that good stuff. So check that out. But I do want to say I'm grateful for you guys showing up every single week, showing your support, asking questions, being here. I know many of you guys own homes. I know many of you guys aren't looking at the market to do anything at the moment, but yet you show up, and it helps me by helping the algorithm, and in turn, it helps me accomplish my goal. And I appreciate you for the guy. I appreciate all you guys for that, and I am grateful for that. So thank you very much. I get to do what I love to do because of you guys, and for that, I am thankful. So thanks again, and we will see you next week. Until then, happy Thanksgiving.